series that we're running now. I want to thank each of you for being on this, and for those who are watching it later. Basically, we're going to cover how to start a business. Now, the reason I've decided to do this is because I'm always getting questions about, Roy, what kind of business should I start? How do I get started? What's the process? How do I develop a business plan? How do I get money? How do I get funding? How do I get partners? How do I get employees or people to help? You know, the list just goes on and on and on, and we're going to cover all those in a series of videos. And so this is the beginning of the question and answer series. So what kind of business should I start? That's the first question, and that is really a personal question, a question that you're going to have to come to grips with, because it depends on how big you want to get. It depends on how much money you have. It's going to depend on if you want to have a brick and mortar type store. Is it a business you want to operate from your home or home office? Do you want to work it out of your garage? You know, there's so many things that you're going to have to look into. So there's let's just get started with the first, which would be a store. Okay. Now I just opened another store, and I have some, and they're a real headache. I will tell you that having a storefront is it's prestigious. It looks good. I was like, hey, go to my store. You know, it's kind of cool. Okay, and but the expenses, the overhead. I mean, you got rent on the building, you have utilities, you know, just like at home, you'll have your own, you'll have a whole another set of utilities. You know, you've got to, almost always, if you have a store, you're going to have employees. You're going to have people to help. You're going to have signs. You're going to have product. You're going to have to, you know, be able to keep the store stocked. You're going to have to figure out what it is your customers want, and you know you want to have a limited space to put what you need in. So you've got to really plan it out very well, as you know what needs to go where. You know, placement is super important. If you have a window, then you know people can see. You know, you've got to have like store. Well, I'm splitting a store with a friend of mine, and so she has mannequins in the window, and you know, because it draws attention, and also what's going to be in the window is a set, several of the pieces I have, which are Capdamonte, Swarovski, it's Napoleon roses, you know, very breakable things. And so I have to keep them in glass cases because, you know, it's quite expensive. But lit up in the store window, it looks beautiful. So, but, you know, it's all those things you have to take into account, because you've got, like, we have a lot of walk-by traffic because there's a Starbucks, there's a McDonald's, there's a grocery store, and so we have to count a lot of walk-by traffic. So you've got to have something that's going to pull them into your store. And then of course you have your regular advertisements that you have to run to, you know, sales and specials and things like that, just to get people to come into the store. So when you have a brick and mortar store, there's a lot of responsibility. You'll probably end up spending 80, 100, 120 hours a week in the store. if you want to go into business for more free time, that's probably not the best idea to do. Eventually, you hope that you have employees you can count on. Let me tell you a couple of horror stories about that. I was running a store a number of years ago. Now is when I'm in the store, and my son takes after me on this. When I'm in the store, people show up because they know that I'm going to be there. If they know you're going to be there, because they want questions answered. They want to see the boss, and so my son's really good at this. But if you have somebody else running it, I had an employee that I had a couple employees, and one guy was working in the back, and this was a little bit about my story. I used to carry a Kirby vacuum cleaner door to door to door. Well, I moved up from carrying it from door to door to door to actually having a Kirby center with my own service department. So basically, it didn't take a lot of people to run it because we operated out of going appointments and door to door. Most of it was salespeople, and they were not in the store. So all you needed one person in the front and one person to service the Kirby's in the back. So the girl in the front, she and I didn't always know this because unless you're there, I finally found out because the guy in the back, she kept telling him, don't tell the boss. But she would come in late. She would take 2-hour lunches, and she'd lock the door. And people would come up to the door, and it's like, how come I can't get in? And, they didn't know to call me or anything. So I never knew. So you've really got to be careful when you have employees, and you're going to have to watch them. Unfortunately, the other thing about employees is they're the largest problem you're going to have with theft. It's not shoplifters coming into your store. It's your employees that are walking out the back with stuff. So, there's just a lot of headaches. If you want to do it, I'm more than happy to help you, but I don't recommend the brick and mortar route. And I'm going to stop this broadcast.